What about you guys? How's it going? I hope you're all keeping well today. Hope everything is good in your part of the world. Welcome to Larne, and as you can see, we've got Caine Memorial just behind me here. I thought I would come up here just to have a wee bit of a chill out session. Should have had a bit of a rough couple of days mentally and physically, so I thought I would come chill out. Plus I also wanted to try out some new pieces of equipment. So some of the things I've got recently are, well, I'm trying out the Canon EFM 11-22 lens, which is what I'm recording on right now. I'm going to talk about that more in a different video. I've also reunited with the Sony 28mm f2 FE lens, so it'll be good to have a play about with that lens again. Plus I also picked up one of these guys. So this is what we call a neutral density filter, or ND filter for short. And what these guys do is they help block out excess light so that we can do long exposures for more daytime scenarios. I've had ND filters before, like the slide-in ones, and they were generally around the sort of 2 to 3 stops, so they block out 2 to 3 stops worth of light. This one, however, by Hoya, which is the Pro ND1000, blocks out 10 stops worth of light. So with this guy I'll be able to do really long exposures for the daytime, and especially since I've got the waves crashing beside me here. The tide is starting to come in a little bit, so it'll be good to have a little bit more chaos around this area. Lighting's very good so far. We've got some nice dramatic clouds here. Got some nice colours coming out with the blues, mixtures of the greys as well. So yeah, let's have a bit of fun, have a bit of crack, why not? So when it comes to using an ND filter, this is where a little bit more planning is involved. I have to actually really sit and think about my shot. So what I have to do first and foremost is I have to set up my camera. Now it's best to work in manual because that way at least you have full absolute total control. On this sort of shot that I have lined up here, I'm shooting at f11 with a shutter speed of 250th of a second with an ISO at 200, so at least I've got a really nice smooth image here. And I mean, if I just take this shot as normal here, I've got a cable release just, you know, for sheer handiness sake, plus it's really going to help when I put the ND filter on. I'm just going to take my photograph here just to see, got a 2-second timer on. So now that we can see from this sort of shot with the faster shutter speed, it sort of created this effect of the freezing water. What if I wanted to then slow all that water down? Well, this is where I'm going to need to bring out my ND filter. Now, the one that I have screws onto the front of my lens, so you always want to make sure that you have the right filter size on. I'm just going to go ahead and screw it on now, sure. So now my ND filter is on, and as you can see, the filter itself is just pitch black. Because I have my focus already set up and ready to go, and I have my exposure, I just now need to actually calculate what taking 10 stops of light is. The way I'm going to calculate my exposure here is I'm going to use the Lee app. You can use a wide variety of different apps, but this one I just came across. So shutter speed wise, I had 250th of a second. It's telling me I need to be on a shutter speed of 4 seconds. So let's now put 4 seconds into the exposure screen. Dial all the way down. So now I can be able to do a really long exposure, and this is where the cable release comes into handy. So the cable release I'm using is one of the Chaine ones. It's a wired one because this way I can, if I need to, I can use bulb for here. Now it's telling me the shot is going to be just ever so slightly overexposed. That's fine. I'm just going to see what it looks like here for this type of shot. Let's get our 2-second timer on and wait 4 seconds. So I mean, look at that shot there. Everything is just all nice and smooth, nice and milky. So I'm just going to keep experimenting, doing some of these long exposures, working with the water as I go along. Tide isn't coming in too much more now, which is nice, but I'm going to create some really nice effects. One thing I forgot to mention about ND filters is that because there's a lot more preparation with your shots, what you have to do is you have to get your focus first and foremost, then you turn it to manual focus. But if you're like me and you use back button autofocus, makes life so much handier. Because I'm not used to the screw-in ones, this is another thing I've had to get used to as well, is I have to screw off before I go to take my photograph, get my focus, all that jazz, then put the filter back on. So it takes a little bit more time to play with the shot, especially if you're outside in the cold. Thankfully today is a really nice day, very well lit. You can see from the ocean, it just looks so blue and just so nice. So I've got a really nice composition going on here, shooting more in a portrait orientation, still keeping at about, well, I'm actually down to about 6 seconds now. Light is starting to fade just ever so slightly, but shooting in the portrait orientation, I've got a nice mixture of the rule of thirds with the line of the horizon. We've got the tower and the water in here as well. It'd be really nice to see how this turns out, because we've got a much more bigger branch of water here. Not as many rocks or anything like that going on. Just the only downside is about being in a public area is people walking their kids and their dogs and all that, so I have to sit and wait for them to shift so I can then take my photograph. Aren't I so kind? Also, do you like my hair? I got my hair cut for you guys. Looks so much more stylish now. I don't look as raggedy as it did in the previous video. Look a little bit more stylish now. One of the ships. Adios. Thanks for ruining my shot. You know, I have to say, it's been great shooting with the 28mm again. I really missed that lens. I got rid of it for that 35mm Samyang f2.8. But it's been good having, it's like being reunited with an old friend. You know, I used to love this lens for gig photography and things like landscapes and such. It's just so versatile, but I'll probably talk about it again in a different video. So I said before that I've had ND filters before. They were the slide-in ones. Picked them up dirt cheap on Amazon for about 20 quid. And they're decent enough for what they were, but the main problem that I had was there was a good fair bit of color casting going on, plus the colors were extremely pale, plus they're not exactly the best of quality. Whereas with the Hoya one, I've always loved Hoya filters. This doesn't mean that, you know, Hoya has sponsored this video or anything, mind you, just because I'm saying this. It's just, I've always loved Hoya filters. They've always been a fantastic quality. I picked this here up. I think it's like $49.99, but they do range higher in the price, you know, depending on which filters thread you're starting to go for. For 50 quid with this type of filter, I mean, it's top quality, it's very well made, very nice and durable. I'm getting very little color casting going on here. Colors are still remaining true as they possibly can. I'm only just judging by what's on the screen here. I'm sure it's going to look a whole lot different when I get it onto the computer at home, so it will do, but I'm ridiculously happy with how this filter is. The only thing I'm still having a bit of trouble with is the fact that I have to keep screwing it off, screwing it on, screwing it off, screwing it on. But it's like whenever you had the slide-ins, you had to slide it off, slide it in, slide it off, slide it in. Plus, you have to have the attachment to put the filter on. 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, which one you prefer. Certainly with the threaded, with the squared ones, you know, you can slot in a lot more, so you can. But, you know, whatever makes you happy, as long as it's getting you the type of shots that you're after. I'd certainly highly recommend this filter here. So I'm probably still going to do some shooting here, but thanks very much for sticking around, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. Hope it let you see how I work with the likes of ND filters. You sort of came along with the ride with me, because this is my first time actually taking out this filter here. So I hope this video helps you. If you've been looking at this filter, let me know in the comments down below. If you do happen to own this filter as well, let me know, what do you think of it. Do like, share, press that wee subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with future videos. But until then, from me and Larne, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.